If people cannot feel your words, they will never follow your voice. That is the truth most people overlook. They try to lead with volume, with speed, with emotion, with effort. But none of that creates authority. None of that builds trust. None of that moves people into action. Leadership through communication isn't about speaking more. It isn't about speaking louder. It's about speaking with weight, the kind of weight that makes people pause, the kind of weight that makes people listen, the kind that makes a room shift. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence earned it. And once you understand this truth, everything about leadership communication changes. You stop chasing attention. You stop performing for approval. You stop talking just to fill the silence. You begin to speak with intention. You begin to speak with clarity. You begin to speak like someone who leads from the inside out. Because here's the reality. Most people talk just to be heard. But leaders, real leaders, speak to be followed. That difference is everything. When you talk to be heard, you focus on yourself. When you talk to be followed, you focus on the message, the mission, and the movement you want to create. Leadership speech is not noise. It is direction. It is alignment. It is the ability to turn a sentence into momentum, a decision into commitment, a moment into action. And all of that rests on 4 pillars, 4 forces that shape every powerful communicator: clarity, authority, precision, timing. Clarity is your foundation. If people do not understand you, they cannot trust you. Authority is your tone, not loud, but steady, not aggressive, but grounded. Precision is your discipline. You cut every filler, every weak phrase, every word that dilutes your message. Timing is your awareness. You know when to speak, when to pause, when to let silence carry the weight for you. When these 4 come together, your voice becomes something people pay attention to, not because you force them to, but because their mind recognizes strength, structure, and certainty. And that is what this audiobook will give you. Over the next 90 minutes, you will learn how to speak in a way that earns respect before you finish a sentence. You will learn how to communicate so clearly that people trust your direction the first time they hear it. You will learn how to remove the habits that weaken your presence. The fillers, the hesitation, the rambling, the apologizing. You will learn how to replace them with habits that build authority. Intentional speech, structured delivery, powerful pauses, and clean language. This is not about motivation. This is not about hype. This is training. Leadership training through your voice. To guide you through this transformation, we will move chapter by chapter, following a simple but powerful structure. Every chapter is built on 6 steps that sharpen your communication until it becomes natural, steady, and unshakable. Pain. You will confront the habits that weaken your voice. Principle. You will learn the core truth that replaces each habit. Picture. A metaphor or contrast that makes the lesson unforgettable. Practice. The exact steps to implement the skill in your real life. Prompt. A question that forces honest self-reflection. Punchline. A short, sharp sentence that becomes your new standard. Across 10 chapters, you will master 10 essential leadership skills. Owning every word, speaking with clarity, controlling your voice, driving action with intention, using strong, clean language, removing weak talk, staying grounded under pressure, speaking short but deep, being remembered, not ignored, training your voice every single day. These are not theories. These are not abstract ideas. These are the skills real leaders rely on. The skills that shape trust, influence, and presence in every room they walk into. And you will learn them, practice them, and use them. Starting right now. Before we begin, I want you to understand one thing. You don't need to be charismatic. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be naturally confident. You just need to speak with weight. Weight comes from clarity. Weight comes from discipline. Weight comes from choosing your words like they matter, because they do. People remember the words that carry truth. They follow the words that carry direction. They trust the words that carry strength. And all of that is available to you. Not someday, not after years of experience, but right now, in the next 90 minutes, as you learn how to speak like someone who leads. So take a breath. Drop every filler from your mind. Set aside every habit that makes your voice small, and allow this session to become the beginning of a new standard. Not just for how you speak, but for how you lead. You don't need to speak loudly. You need to speak with weight. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Own every word. Most people speak without realizing how much power they lose every time they open their mouth. They talk to fill the air. They talk to ease discomfort. They talk because silence scares them, and every word they throw out without intention takes a little weight away from their presence. A voice without ownership is a voice without influence. If you've ever spoken and watched people drift, look away, or politely nod through you, you know exactly what this feels like. It's not that your ideas are bad. It's not that your message is wrong. It's that the delivery has no spine. Americans especially, from workplace culture to leadership expectations, respond to certainty, steadiness, and clarity. They don't follow noise, they follow presence. Most people talk, leaders land, and the difference isn't talent, it's ownership. When you speak without owning your words, your presence shakes. Your tone hesitates. Your message bends. People might listen, but they won't follow. And deep down, you feel it too. The subtle frustration that people don't take your ideas seriously, the sting of being talked over, the quiet fear that being louder is the only solution. Volume doesn't build authority. Ownership does. Owning your words means you stop using language as a shield. You stop hiding behind fillers. You stop running away from silence. You stop performing confidence and start embodying it. This is where leadership begins. Not with charisma, not with charm, not with personality, but with the discipline to control your voice. You know the kind of person who talks endlessly yet says nothing. They rush. They ramble. They repeat themselves 3 different ways. They apologize before they even make their point. If you listen long enough, you can hear the fear under their sentences. Fear of being judged, dismissed, misunderstood. And while you empathize, you also instinctively stop following them. Americans are trained, culturally, to follow direction, not hesitation. It's woven into corporate culture, team dynamics, military roots, entrepreneurial identity. People respect decisiveness. Now imagine the opposite. Someone who speaks slowly, clearly, purposefully. Someone who chooses words like a craftsman chooses tools. Someone who lets silence work for them instead of against them. A leader doesn't chase the room. A leader anchors the room. Picture this. A person steps into a meeting. They breathe once before speaking. They deliver one sentence. Clean, grounded, controlled. Another. Then silence. The room shifts toward them. People pay attention, not because they are loud, but because they are deliberate. This kind of presence is unforgettable in the United States. In boardrooms, classrooms, negotiations, and conversations. Americans admire conviction, even in quiet form. Clarity beats charisma. Calm beats volume. Presence beats performance. But let's be honest, owning your words takes discipline. You have to slow down when your instinct is to rush. You have to cut weak phrases you've used your whole life. You have to tolerate silence long enough for people to absorb your message. You have to turn your voice from reaction to intention. And this isn't easy. Not at first, but the transformation is real. And once you feel it, you never go back. When you start to own your words, people respond differently. They ask fewer clarifying questions. They interrupt less. They lean in. They get quiet. They respect your voice because your voice respects itself. In the American workplace, where meetings dominate and communication drives everything, this shift can change your entire trajectory. Promotions, trust, opportunities, all of it responds to presence. Your voice is not just sound. Your voice is identity, and every unowned word chips away at that identity. So, how do you begin? You slow down. Even when you're afraid you'll sound too slow. You breathe before speaking, even when you feel pressure to answer instantly. You cut fillers. Even when part of you feels exposed without them, you tighten your sentences. You shorten your thoughts. You say one thing at a time. You talk like your words carry cost. Because they do, there's a method for building this discipline. Before every sentence, pause for 2 seconds. Let the breath settle in your chest. Let your shoulders drop. Picture the sentence before you say it. Deliver it cleanly. End it cleanly. And then, stay still. Don't rush to soften or repeat. Silence is not your enemy. It's your amplifier. Silence is where your words gain weight, and weight is what makes people follow. Cut the weak language you've leaned on for years. I think. Maybe. Kind of. I'm not sure, but these phrases don't protect you. They expose you. Americans especially hear these as uncertainty. And uncertainty erodes trust. Replace them with frames of ownership. Here's what I see. Here's the direction. The key point is this. These shifts seem small, but in communication, small shifts change everything. Once you adopt this discipline, something unexpected happens. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop second-guessing your voice. You stop shrinking your ideas. You stop handing authority to louder people. When you own your words, you reclaim your presence. And when you reclaim your presence, people treat you differently. Not by accident, but by instinct. People don't follow the loudest voice. People follow the clearest one. Now ask yourself the 3 questions that matter. Where do I lose power? Speed, fillers, rambling, or uncertainty? Be honest. You know your weak spots. You've lived with them long enough to recognize them immediately. If I removed one weak habit today, what would change in how people respond to me? Imagine cutting just one. Not all. Just one. Feel how much cleaner your voice would sound. Which sentence will I commit to owning fully in my next conversation? Not 10. One sentence that you deliver with complete presence. These questions are your mirror, your standard, your starting point. If you answer them honestly, you're already stepping into leadership. Because leadership begins with awareness, and awareness becomes action. And when your words start coming from intention instead of fear, from clarity instead of noise, the world around you begins to shift. People notice. People respond. People follow. Speak like every word has a cost. Because in leadership, it does. And from this moment forward, your voice pays with purpose. Chapter 2. Speak with clarity. Most people don't struggle because they have bad ideas. They struggle because their ideas are buried under unclear words, and nothing kills leadership faster than a message people cannot follow. If it isn't clear, it isn't trusted. If it isn't trusted, it isn't followed. Clarity is the quiet force behind every strong communicator in the United States, from boardrooms to military briefings to coaching huddles. Americans gravitate toward messages they can understand instantly. They want direction they can act on, not statements they have to decode. When your words are unclear, even by accident, people hesitate, and hesitation costs you authority. This is the hidden pain. Most people think they sound clear, but they actually sound crowded. They pack 5 ideas into one sentence. They speak before organizing their thoughts. They circle their point instead of delivering it. They use vague language expecting others to fill in the blanks. But people don't fill in blanks. They fill in doubts. And the moment doubt enters your communication, your presence weakens. Confusion kills momentum. Clarity builds it. You've seen this in meetings. Someone explains a simple update but drifts into details, tangents, disclaimers. The room shifts away from them. People stop engaging, eyes drop to laptops. Someone eventually asks, "Sir, what exactly do you mean?" And the speaker shrinks. Not because they're incompetent, but because they weren't clear. Then there's the leader who speaks in sharp lines. One idea, one sentence, one direction. Everyone understands. Everyone aligns. Everyone moves. Clarity isn't fancy. Clarity is leadership. To understand clarity, picture two scenes. First, imagine a foggy road at night. You can move, but you can't move confidently. The path is there, but not visible. Every step feels like a guess. That's what unclear communication feels like for the listener. Fog. They hear your words, but they can't see your intention. Now picture the same road at dawn. Light breaks, shapes sharpen. The path becomes obvious. You don't think, you move. That's clarity. It removes doubt. It creates direction. It builds trust. In American culture, clarity is often mistaken for simplicity. But clarity isn't dumbing things down. Clarity is respecting your listener enough to give them a message they can use. And that means shifting your communication from messy to intentional. Start by stripping your message down to the core. What is the point? Not the background, not the history, not the justification. The point. Say that first. Say it clean. Say it without apology. If you can't say it clearly, you can't lead it effectively. Leadership clarity comes from 3 disciplines: slowing down your mind, tightening your language, and committing to one idea at a time. These 3 alone can transform the way people respond to you. Americans respect directness. They interpret it as strength. When you speak clearly, you don't just communicate better. You sound more dependable. So here's how you train clarity. Before you speak, pause. 1 second is enough. That single second pulls your mind back from chaos into focus. It prevents you from reacting. It gives your message a spine. Then choose the shortest sentence that delivers the truth. Cut everything else. Cut the tangents. Cut the background story. Cut the unnecessary context. The shorter the path, the faster people follow. Next, use concrete words. Instead of, "Maybe we could consider improving the process at some point," say, "Let's tighten the process this week." Instead of, "The goal is kind of to improve communication overall," say, "Our goal is clearer communication." Americans respond to language with edges, not blurred outlines. Keep your sentences punchy. Keep your ideas visible. Keep your direction unmistakable. In conversations, clarity is generosity. In leadership, clarity is responsibility. If people walk away unclear, it's not their fault. It's the speaker's. Your clarity must come from the inside. A cluttered mind will always speak cluttered words. So simplify your thinking before simplifying your language. Ask yourself, what am I really trying to say? When you know that, you can say it cleanly. Now imagine speaking with clarity in every situation, meetings, interviews, negotiations, even arguments. You stop over-explaining. You stop drowning your point in noise. You stop repeating yourself, and people stop ignoring you. They stop talking over you. They stop assuming they understand better than you do. Clarity feels like power because it is, and with clarity comes a calmer tone, a steadier voice, a quieter confidence. Because when you know exactly what you're saying, you stop trying to prove yourself. You stop performing. You stop chasing validation. You simply speak, and the message carries itself. To practice clarity, use a simple rule. One idea, one sentence. If you hear yourself piling 3 ideas into one line, stop. Break them apart. Deliver them one at a time. Americans appreciate structure. It makes your communication feel intentional and intelligent. Then use the point, proof, pause formula. State the point. Give one supporting line. Only one. Pause and let it settle. This formula cuts through noise and forces the listener's mind into alignment with yours. It positions you as someone who knows how to lead a conversation instead of drowning in it. Next, eliminate vague language. Sort of, basically, generally, maybe, kind of. These don't soften your message. They sabotage it. Replace them with specific, grounded terms. Exactly, directly, clearly. Here's what matters. This is the plan. One of the most overlooked clarity skills is ending your message intentionally. Most people trail off, wander, or over-explain. Don't do that. End clean, end strong. End with a sentence that stands. Americans value communication that respects time. A sharp ending is a sign of control. Clarity is precision. Precision is respect. Now ask yourself the questions that matter. Where does my message lose clarity? In speed, structure, or language? If people misunderstand me, what part of my communication created the fog? And what is one idea I can commit to saying clearly, without apology, in my next conversation? These questions shine a light on the habits that weaken you. And when you answer them honestly, you start speaking differently, more intentionally, more simply, more powerfully. You begin to feel the shift, and so do the people around you. Nothing builds trust faster than clarity. Nothing destroys trust faster than confusion. When your words are clear, people take action. When your message has edges, people feel safe following you. When your direction is simple, people align without resistance. And when your voice becomes the source of clarity in a noisy world, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. Speak clearly, lead clearly, be clear, and people will follow. Chapter 3. Control your voice before you lead. Your voice is the first thing people trust, not your title, not your resume, not your ideas. Your voice is your credibility, and most people never learn how to control it. They let their tone react instead of lead. They let their breath tighten when pressure rises. They let speed replace substance. They let emotion hijack clarity, and without realizing it, they communicate insecurity even when the words themselves are fine. This is the real pain. People judge your steadiness before they judge your message. If your voice shakes, they assume your certainty does too. If your tone rises too fast, they assume you're overwhelmed. If your rhythm is chaotic, they assume your thinking is too. A leader's voice must be anchored, not reactive. You've seen this in everyday American communication: job interviews, team huddles, presentations, tough conversations. The person who controls their voice controls the room, not by dominating it, but by steadying it. Their calm becomes contagious. Their tone becomes the emotional temperature everyone else adjusts to. Leadership is not volume. Leadership is regulation. To understand the power of a controlled voice, picture 2 people under pressure. The first reacts instantly. Their voice speeds up. Their tone tightens. Their words get sharper than intended. Their breathing becomes shallow. The room feels their tension and responds with more tension. The conversation spirals. Now picture the second person. Same pressure, same moment, but they take one breath. They lower their shoulders. They slow their voice by 10%. Their words become measured. Their pauses become intentional. The room shifts toward calm. People breathe with them. The conversation stabilizes. A controlled voice doesn't just steady you, it steadies everyone. This is why controlling your voice is non-negotiable for leadership. Americans associate a steady voice with competence, maturity, and authority. It signals that you're thinking clearly. It signals you're not overwhelmed. It signals you can handle difficult moments without collapsing into emotion. Calm isn't weakness. Calm is command. Let's turn this from understanding into action. Start with the breath. When you feel pressure, you're not failing. Your body is simply trying to react faster than your mind. Your job is to slow everything down. Use the 4-6-8 technique. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 6. Release for 8. This resets your nervous system. It signals safety. It restores clarity. It anchors your tone before a single word leaves your mouth. Next, control your speed. Most people talk too fast when they want to sound confident. But speed is not confidence. Speed is adrenaline. Slow your words by just a fraction. Americans interpret slower pacing as authority because it shows you're choosing your words, not chasing them. Fast feels nervous. Steady feels strong. Then, practice the grounded pause. After a key sentence, stop. Let the silence fall. Don't rush to fill it. The pause tells listeners your message has weight. It also gives their mind time to absorb it. A well-placed pause can command more attention than a full paragraph of rushed explanation. After you master breath, speed, and pause, shift to tone. A strong tone doesn't mean deep, loud, or dramatic. It means even. That's the quality Americans read as leadership. Evenness. When your tone stays level under pressure, people trust you with harder conversations. They trust you with decisions. They trust your presence. Use lower notes at the end of sentences. Stand or sit with both feet planted. Relax your jaw when speaking. Let your breath drive your tone instead of your throat. These small physical adjustments transform your voice into something grounded and reliable. A reliable voice builds reliable leadership. Now, look at how you handle interruptions or challenges. Most people get louder, sharper, or quicker. Leaders do the opposite. They slow, they center, they reset their tone before responding. This is the calm method. Center yourself. Answer the question clearly. Limit the extra explanation. Move on without emotional residue. This method prevents your voice from becoming reactive. It keeps you in control even when someone tries to pull you out of your center. When you control your voice, nobody else controls the moment. The real question is this: how does your voice behave under pressure? Do you rush? Do you tighten? Do you get louder? Do you try to prove yourself? Be honest. Your voice tells the truth before your words do. And the more pressure you face, the more your voice reveals your habits. Now imagine the alternative. A voice that stays steady even when everything else shakes. A voice that doesn't rush when challenged. A voice that doesn't lose direction when emotions rise. A voice that communicates certainty even in uncertainty. That's the voice people follow. That's the voice people trust. That's the voice people remember. So ask yourself the questions that sharpen awareness. Where does my voice break its calm? Speed, tone, volume, or breath? What happens to my presence when pressure rises? Do I tighten or do I anchor? How would my life change if I mastered a voice people trust instantly? These questions matter because your voice is not a tool, it's your leadership signature. Every conversation, every negotiation, every confrontation begins with the sound of you. And when your voice stands firm, your presence becomes magnetic. People don't follow voices that panic. People follow voices that breathe. When you regulate your voice, you regulate your influence. You make people feel safer around you. You make decisions sound clearer. You make direction feel stronger. You elevate every word because the tone carrying it is solid. And something else happens too. You begin to trust yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop performing confidence. You stop fighting the room for respect. Your voice becomes the anchor for your entire identity. Control your voice. Control the room. Control your direction as a leader. And never forget the truth that defines this entire chapter. A steady voice is irresistible. Chapter 4. Speak to make others act. Most people speak to be understood. Leaders speak to create movement. If your words don't lead to action, they aren't leading anything. This is the painful truth. You can talk clearly, confidently, even passionately. But if people don't know exactly what to do after listening to you, your message ends where it started. Americans are action-driven. Their respect is tied to execution. If your communication doesn't convert into behavior, you lose influence no matter how good your intentions are. Leadership isn't about sounding good. Leadership is about sparking action. Think about how many conversations end without direction. A meeting full of updates but no next steps. A discussion full of opinions but no decisions. A plan full of ideas but no owners. People leave, nodding politely, unclear about who is doing what. Or worse, assuming someone else will take responsibility. This is how momentum dies in organizations, families, teams, relationships, not from a lack of talent, from a lack of directive communication. A leader's words must move people forward, not sideways, not backward, forward. Picture two scenes. In the first, a speaker explains the situation in detail. They talk about what went wrong, what should have happened, what might work. They sound knowledgeable, but vague. The team listens, but no one knows what the next step is. When the meeting ends, people scatter. Nothing changes. Now picture the second scene. The leader explains the situation in half the words, then gives one simple instruction. Here's what we're doing next. Everyone knows the direction. Everyone knows the responsibility. Everyone knows the timeline. The room moves. Clarity gives understanding. Direction gives action. This chapter is about mastering that shift, from explaining to directing, from describing to instructing, from hoping to ensuring. Americans respect leaders who call the play. When you speak with decisive direction, you trigger immediate alignment. So how do you speak to make people act? You start by removing the noise. Most people try to motivate, justify, or persuade before giving direction. But motivation without direction is just emotion. Direction without clarity is confusion. A leader must combine both, intention and instruction. Say one thing. Make one thing happen. Use the power of the 1-1-1 rule. One sentence, one action, one timeline. For example, send the report by 3 p.m. Follow up with a client today. Start with the first draft by tomorrow morning. Short, sharp, actionable. American listeners respond instinctively to this structure because it removes ambiguity. Ambiguity is the enemy of execution. Then, speak in verbs, not concepts. Don't say, "We need better communication." Say, "Check in with the team every morning." Don't say, "Let's improve quality." Say, "Review every file before sending it." Don't say, "We should be more aligned." Say, "Share your plan by noon." Direction lives in verbs. Leadership lives in direction. Now look at your natural communication style. Do you suggest or do you direct? Do you imply or do you specify? Do you say, "Maybe we could," or "Here's what we'll do"? Most people soften their language because they fear sounding controlling. But Americans don't interpret direction as control. They interpret it as confidence. They want someone who knows what needs to be done. Soft words create soft action. Strong words create strong movement. This doesn't mean being harsh. It means being intentional. Every directive you give should pass this test. Can someone listen to this and take action immediately without asking for clarification? If the answer is no, the instruction isn't leadership yet. To deliver direction effectively, anchor your tone. Say your instructions slowly. End the sentence clean. Don't add disclaimers. Don't dilute your message to sound nice. Trust that calm strength is more respected than excessive politeness. Nice doesn't lead. Clear leads. Calm leads. Direction leads. After giving direction, pause. Let the silence carry the weight. People need 1 second to internalize what you've said. That second is where commitment happens. Then confirm alignment with one question. Does this make sense? Not, what do you think? Not, is everyone okay with this? American communication culture values clarity over consensus. Asking for understanding secures action. Asking for approval weakens it. Now, examine the emotional resistance you have to giving direction. Do you fear being judged? Do you fear being wrong? Do you fear being too direct? These fears reflect the old voice, the one that wants to be liked instead of followed. Leadership communication requires letting go of that need. People may not always like directions, but they respect the person who delivers them clearly. If you want to lead, choose respect over comfort. Think about every moment this skill could change your life. At work, where miscommunication wastes hours. At home, where expectations go unspoken. In relationships, where clarity prevents resentment. In personal goals, where vague intentions kill discipline. A leader who directs well moves their entire environment forward. A leader who avoids directions traps everyone in the same place. Now ask yourself the questions that sharpen ownership. Where do I hesitate to give clear direction? What happens when I soften instructions instead of delivering them firmly? How would my life change if I gave one decisive instruction every day? These questions reveal the habits that weaken your influence. And when you answer them honestly, you begin to shift from passive communication to leadership communication. People don't follow explanations. People follow direction. Once you master speaking to spark action, you'll see changes immediately. Meetings shorten, execution strengthens. People trust your voice more. They rely on your clarity. They look to you in uncertain moments. You become the emotional stabilizer, the person others turn to for direction when everything else feels scattered. This is the quiet power of leadership communication. Not shouting, not demanding, not forcing, just clear, simple, actionable speech. Say it, mean it, make movement happen, and carry this truth with you as the mantra of this entire chapter. A leader's words don't describe movement. A leader's words create movement. Chapter 5. Use strong, clean words. Words are not just sounds. Words are signals. And people read those signals fast. Weak words weaken you. Strong words strengthen you. This is the part most people never realize. Every time you use vague, apologetic, uncertain language, people don't just hear it. They interpret it. In American culture especially, weak words are heard as hesitation, a lack of clarity, or lack of conviction. They dilute your message. They soften your presence. They make your leadership feel unstable. People don't follow a voice that doubts itself. Most people don't mean to sound weak. They simply speak the way they always have. Casually, loosely, automatically. They use fillers to smooth discomfort. They hedge to avoid judgment. They soften their statements so they won't sound too direct. But every soft word steals authority. Every vague phrase removes weight from your presence. Every filler makes your voice feel lighter than your intention. Your message is only as strong as the words that carry it. Think about these phrases. I think maybe we should. I'm not sure, but we could possibly try. Kind of like. Sort of. I guess. Each one weakens you. Each one creates doubt. Each one tells the listener, don't take this too seriously. And here's the truth you must accept. If you don't take your words seriously, no one else will. Now picture the alternative. A leader who speaks with clean lines, grounded tone, and precise language. They say what they mean. They mean what they say. They don't over-explain. They don't over-soften. They don't hide behind fillers. Strong words make people lean in. Weak words make people drift away. To understand this at a deeper level, imagine two conversations. In the first, someone says, "I think maybe we should consider finishing it today if possible." What does the listener feel? Uncertainty, hesitation, lack of commitment, no urgency. Now hear the second version. "Let's finish it today." Clear, direct, actionable. No confusion. Weak language creates fog. Strong language creates direction. The difference is not aggression, it's precision. And Americans respond exceptionally well to precision. Direct language in the US is seen as confidence, clarity, and respect for time. Clean communication is cultural currency. The clearer you are, the more competent you sound. So how do you replace weak words with strong ones? Start by cutting the fillers you've relied on for years. Remove maybe, I think, possibly, sort of, kind of, I guess, probably. These words feel safe, but they deliver insecurity. They protect your ego at the cost of your influence. They make your voice sound like it's asking for permission instead of giving direction. Every filler you remove adds weight to your message. Then, add leadership language. Words that carry clarity and strength. Here's what I see. Here's the plan. The priority is this. The next step is, this matters because, let's move. Here's the direction. These phrases don't push people. They guide people. Strong words don't dominate. They direct. Now, understand the deeper purpose of clean language. It's not about sounding tough. It's about removing friction. The more unnecessary words you use, the harder people have to work to understand you. In American communication psychology, mental clarity equals trust. When your message is tight, people feel safe. When your message is noisy, people feel uncertain. Noise confuses. Clean language commands. Clean communication requires discipline. You must learn to resist the urge to over-explain. You must let go of the need to soften your message. You must speak with the confidence of someone who knows their intention. Slow down before your sentence. Feel the words forming. Choose them deliberately. Deliver them with calm certainty. End cleanly. Don't chase your own message with extra explanations or apologies. Say it. Stop. Let it stand. This is how strong words are delivered. And yes, it can feel uncomfortable at first. You may fear sounding too direct. But directness delivered with calm authority is one of the most respected forms of communication in America. People don't want you to hint. They want you to say it. To sharpen this skill further, use the power pair method. Two-part statements that lock clarity into place. State, anchor. Point, reason, direction, timeline. Ask, confirm. For example, send the report by noon. It helps us close the gap today. Our goal is clarity. Keep your update to one sentence. We move forward with this plan. It's the best use of our time. Each pair delivers strength with stability. Strong words require no force. They carry their own gravity. Now it's time to ask the questions leaders must confront. Where does my language become weak? Fillers, softness, apologizing, or over-explaining? Which specific words dilute my presence the most? What is one strong phrase I can commit to using in every conversation this week? These questions reveal your blind spots. And when you see your weak language clearly, you immediately gain the power to replace it. One strong phrase can anchor an entire interaction. One clean sentence can shift how people perceive you. One moment of clarity can establish trust instantly. Because when your language becomes clean, your leadership becomes clean. People no longer struggle to understand you. They no longer question your conviction. They no longer doubt your direction. Strong words build strong trust. Clean words build clean leadership. And here is the truth you must carry forward. The words you choose shape the respect you receive. Use words that make your message sharp. Use words that make your presence felt. Use words that carry weight, and the world will respond in kind. Chapter 6. Drop weak talk. Most people don't lose authority because of big mistakes. They lose authority because of small habits, tiny phrases that drain power from their voice every time they speak. Weak talk kills strong presence, and the truth is harsh. You can have great ideas, clear direction, a solid plan. But if your speech is full of apologizing, shrinking, hedging, or over-explaining, people won't follow you. American listeners are extremely sensitive to confidence cues. They hear weakness in language instantly. And once they hear it, it's hard for them to unhear it. People trust what sounds certain. People doubt what sounds unsure. Weak talk shows up quietly. It slips out without warning. It sounds harmless, even polite, but it erodes your influence from the inside out. I'm sorry, but just wanted to ask. I hope this makes sense. I don't want to bother you. Maybe this is a bad idea, but I'm not an expert, but every one of these sentences sends the same message. I don't believe fully in what I'm saying. And if you don't believe fully in what you're saying, why would anyone else? Weak talk is self-sabotage disguised as politeness. People use it because they're afraid of sounding too direct. They worry about being judged. They want to sound easygoing or agreeable. But in American communication culture, weak talk doesn't make you agreeable. It makes you forgettable. It makes your presence softer than your intention. It makes others assume you're uncertain, even when you're not. The cost is high. You lose respect. You lose clarity. You lose momentum. You lose opportunities to lead. Now picture the opposite. Someone who cuts weak talk completely. They speak cleanly. They ask directly. They start sentences without apologizing. They don't shrink. They don't pad their message with self-doubt. They don't talk like they need permission to exist. A leader's voice does not shrink. A leader's voice stands. Imagine hearing these instead. Here's the update. I need your feedback on this. Let's begin. This doesn't work. Here's a better option. Let's move forward. Clear, direct, grounded, respectful, without being submissive. Strong communication is not rude. Weak communication is not kind. Dropping weak talk requires emotional courage. It asks you to let go of the verbal shields you've used your whole life. Shields that protect your ego, but destroy your authority. Shields that make you sound nice, but prevent you from being effective. Start with awareness. Listen for your weak phrases. They slip out most during stress, disagreement, or when you want approval. Notice them. Name them. And once you see them, you can replace them. The first step to dropping weak talk. Stop apologizing for existing. Don't say, "I'm sorry, can I ask something?" Say, "I have a question." Don't say, "Sorry for bothering you." Say, "Do you have a moment?" Don't say, "I'm sorry, but here's what I think." Say, "Here's what I see." Apologize only when you've actually done something wrong. Not when you're breathing, not when you're speaking, not when you're taking up space. Every unnecessary apology lowers your status. Next, eliminate the word just. Just checking in, just wondering, just a quick thought. In American communication psychology, just signals insecurity. It's a softener, a shield that makes your message smaller. Remove it. Say what you need to say. Let your words stand without shrinking. Then remove the hesitation phrases. I kind of think, I guess, I'm not sure, but maybe we could. These phrases sound gentle, but they sabotage clarity. Replace them with ownership. I recommend. My view is, let's consider this option. The solution is, own your message or don't deliver it. Another form of weak talk is over-explaining. Most people talk too long because they're trying to convince themselves while trying to convince others. But the longer you talk, the softer your authority becomes. Americans value concise explanations. It signals you know what you're talking about. Say it once. Say it clean. Stop talking. Silence after a strong sentence speaks louder than 3 weak paragraphs. Dropping weak talk is not about becoming harsh. It's about becoming direct. It's about becoming intentional. It's about respecting your own voice enough to stop watering it down. When you cut weak talk, everything changes. Your words hit harder. Your tone settles. Your confidence rises. Your presence sharpens. People treat you differently because you treat yourself differently. No one follows a voice that constantly apologizes for being here. Now ask yourself the questions that reveal your weak language. When do I shrink my voice the most? With authority figures? In groups? Or when I feel unsure? Which weak phrase do I use the most? Sorry, just, maybe, or I think. What would my communication sound like if I completely removed that phrase for 7 days? These questions aren't small, they're identity questions. Because weak talk is not a speech problem, it's a self-trust problem. And the moment you drop weak talk, you tell the world and yourself that you are done shrinking. You stop signaling insecurity. You stop apologizing for your presence. You stop making your voice smaller than your intention. Leadership begins when you stop weakening your own words. Carry this with you. Every weak phrase you drop makes your presence stronger. And remember the punchline of this entire chapter. Stop shrinking your voice. Stand in it. Chapter 7. Stay grounded under pressure. Pressure exposes people. It exposes their habits, their fears, their emotional reflexes. It exposes whether they lead from presence or from panic. Staying grounded under pressure is the difference between reacting and leading. Most people lose themselves the moment tension rises. Their voice tightens. Their breathing shortens. Their mind races ahead of their words. They jump to defend themselves. They talk faster. They talk louder. They talk from fear instead of clarity. And that single shift from grounded to reactive destroys their influence. If pressure can move you, it can control you. This is the hidden pain most people never confront. You don't lose authority because of the pressure itself. You lose authority because of how you respond to it. Americans, especially, read emotional steadiness as competence. When your calm breaks, their trust breaks with it. When your tone wobbles, their respect wobbles too. When you react emotionally, you communicate that you cannot handle the weight of the moment. A leader who breaks under pressure loses the room. A leader who stays grounded owns it. Picture the typical reaction to pressure. Someone challenges you. Someone misunderstands you. Someone pushes your boundaries. Someone questions your credibility. Most people tense up. They speed up. They defend. They argue. They try to fix the moment instead of controlling it, and the room feels it, the tension, the discomfort, the insecurity. That is the cost of reactive communication. You give away your power before you even speak. Now picture a grounded leader. Same pressure, same challenge. But they inhale once. Their shoulders soften. Their voice lowers half a tone. They slow their pace. They answer with clarity instead of emotion. The room calms because they are calm. The tension dissolves because their presence absorbs it. The challenge becomes manageable because they are not fighting it. They are navigating it. Calm is not passive. Calm is strategic. This is why staying grounded under pressure is one of the most respected leadership traits in the United States. Whether in corporate discussions, negotiations, coaching sessions, or conflict conversations, Steady people are trusted people. A grounded tone signals maturity. A controlled breath signals readiness. A calm mind signals strength. People follow the person who remains themselves when everyone else loses themselves. To master this, you must understand a simple truth. Pressure isn't the enemy. Your reaction is. Pressure activates your nervous system. Your heart rate rises. Your breath gets shallow. Your body wants to protect itself. Your instincts want to fight or flee. That's normal. What matters is whether you let the instinct control your voice. Begin with your breath. When pressure rises, breathe low and slow. Not in your chest, but in your diaphragm. This sends a signal directly to your nervous system. We are safe. Without this signal, your body will hijack your voice every time. A grounded breath is a grounded mind. Next, control your pace. Under pressure, the mind races, which forces the voice to follow. Slow your speech intentionally. Even a 5 to 10% reduction in speed can turn panic into presence. Americans interpret slower, steadier pacing as confidence and leadership. It shows you are choosing your words, not chasing them. Then, use the calm method. The simplest, most powerful way to stay centered under pressure. Center yourself. Answer what matters. Limit the unnecessary. Move on. Center yourself with breath. Answer only the core of the question, not the emotional bait, not the noise. Limit your words to what brings clarity. Move on without engaging in emotional spirals. This method keeps you in control. It prevents over-defending. It prevents reacting. It prevents you from saying more than the moment requires. Pressure tries to rush you. Grounded leaders slow everything down. Another powerful tool is the grounded pause. When you feel heat rising inside you, stop for 1 second. Just one. This second interrupts emotional momentum. It breaks the reaction loop. It gives you space to choose your response instead of becoming your reaction. That single second is what separates leaders from reactors. Now consider your tone. A grounded tone is low, steady even. It does not spike with emotion. It does not tighten with fear. It does not wobble with uncertainty. Most people think lowering their volume makes them weak. But in American communication, lowering your tone under pressure increases your authority. Tension rises, your voice lowers. That is power. Look at your body. Under pressure, your shoulders tighten, your jaw locks, your chest lifts. These signals make your voice unstable. A grounded posture, feet planted, shoulders loose, jaw relaxed, stabilizes your tone naturally. Your body is the anchor. Your breath is the engine. Your voice is the expression. Your presence is the leadership. So ask yourself, how does pressure usually show up in your communication? Do you speed up? Do you shut down? Do you over-explain? Do you get louder? Do you get defensive? These reactions are not flaws. They are learned patterns. And learned patterns can be unlearned with awareness and repetition. Now imagine yourself in your next high-pressure moment. A tough meeting, a misunderstanding, a disagreement, a conflict, a challenge. Instead of reacting, you breathe. You slow. You ground. You respond with clarity. You let silence steady the space. You communicate not from emotion, but from presence. Not from fear, but from strength. Not from impulse, but from intention. People feel the difference immediately. They trust you more. They follow you more. They rely on you more. Because grounded communication is not just a skill. It is a signal. It signals that you are in control of yourself and therefore capable of leading others. People don't follow the loudest person under pressure. They follow the calmest. Ask yourself the questions that anchor this chapter. Where do I lose grounding most? Conflict, misunderstanding, challenge, or urgency? What old reaction pattern am I ready to replace with calm control? What would my life look like if I stayed grounded in every difficult moment? These questions shape the leader you become. Your grounding is not for show. It is for stability, clarity, and influence. And the truth you must carry forward is simple. Pressure doesn't break you. Reaction does. Stay grounded. This is your standard now. This is your next level as a communicator. This is how leaders rise when tension tests them. Chapter 8. Speak short, speak deep. Most people think long sentences sound smart. They think more words equal more value. But in leadership, the opposite is true. The shorter the message, the deeper it lands. Long talk creates distance. Short talk creates impact. People don't remember the 5-minute explanation. They remember the 5-second sentence that carried truth. Depth is not length. Depth is precision. The painful truth is this. Most people talk too long because they don't trust their own message. They keep adding, explaining, and repeating because they fear the silence after a short sentence. But silence isn't the enemy. Silence is what makes your message echo. Americans respond powerfully to concise communication. Directness is culturally coded as confidence. Brevity signals competence, clarity, and maturity. When you speak short and speak deep, you sound like someone who has already done the work of thinking before talking. And that builds instant trust. Long speech tries to convince. Short speech communicates certainty. Think of the moments that shaped you. A piece of advice, a warning, a truth someone told you years ago. The lines you remember weren't long. They were sharp, clean, simple, unforgettable. Do the work. Stand for something. Say it once. Know your value. Do it today. These sentences stay because depth lives in simplicity. Now picture two communicators. The first talks endlessly. They ramble through details. They give 3 examples when one would do. They rephrase their point over and over. Their words blur into noise. People listen, but they don't hear. They hear, but they don't remember. They remember, but they don't act. Now the second communicator. They say one idea in one sentence, with one pause afterward. The room shifts, the message lands. People feel it. Short sentences hit harder because they carry no waste. This chapter is about mastering that discipline, the art of saying less so your message means more. Start by slowing your mind before your mouth. If your thoughts are tangled, your words will be too. Take one breath. Find the core idea. Say only that. Next, use economic language. Clean, sharp, grounded. Remove extra qualifiers. Remove unnecessary context. Remove emotional padding. Your goal is not to fill time. Your goal is to deliver truth. Say the truth. Say it clean. Stop. One of the most powerful tools you can use is the point-proof pause method. State your point in one sentence. Give one proof, not 3. Pause to let the message land. Americans respond especially well to this structure. It gives them clarity, efficiency, and a clear mental hook to remember. It also positions you as someone who respects their time, and that respect is returned through attention. Short speech doesn't mean flat speech. It means concentrated speech. It means every sentence carries weight. It means your words have muscle instead of fat. Cut what's unnecessary. Keep what's undeniable. Strong leaders don't drown others in language. They distill. They refine. They bring the message to its essence. To practice this, take a long explanation you normally give and cut it down to 1 or 2 lines. Remove the basically. The what I'm trying to say is. These phrases are verbal clutter. Strip them away. What remains is your real voice. Clean, grounded, powerful. Another technique is to aim for sentences that are 5-12 words long. This length activates memory in American listeners. Their brain processes the message quickly and stores it easily. Anything longer increases the risk of dilution. Short sentences feel confident because they communicate that you are not afraid of being concise. You are not afraid of silence. You are not afraid of being direct. Short speech requires courage. Deep speech requires clarity. Now examine your habits. Do you talk too long? Do you rush to fill silence? Do you over-explain to avoid misunderstanding? Do you add unnecessary details to feel complete? These habits make your message heavier than it needs to be. Heavy messages don't travel far. Sharp ones do. So ask the questions that refine your voice. Where can I remove 50% of my words without losing meaning? Which sentence in my communication can be cut down to its essence? What is one short, deep sentence I can use today that expresses my leadership clearly? When you answer these questions honestly, your entire communication style changes. You stop talking from insecurity. You stop padding your message. You stop hiding behind excess. You begin speaking with weight, not length. And people notice immediately. They start quoting you. They start remembering your words. They start trusting your direction. Your voice becomes recognizable, repeatable, respected. People don't follow speeches. People follow sentences. Your job is not to say everything. Your job is to say what matters, and say it so clearly, so concisely, so intentionally that people feel it long after the words have ended. Carry this truth with you. A short sentence delivered with clarity can move an entire room. A long one filled with noise moves nothing. Speak short, speak deep. Make every word count. Chapter 9. Speak to be remembered. Most people speak to be heard. Leaders speak to be remembered. Being heard is temporary. Being remembered is influence. This is where most people lose impact without realizing it. They talk, people listen, the moment passes, and nothing stays. Their words disappear the second the conversation ends. Not because the ideas were bad, but because the message wasn't built to last. In American culture, especially in leadership spaces, people remember clarity, brevity, and emotional weight. They remember statements that are shaped like anchors. If people forget your words, they forget your direction. The painful truth is simple. You cannot lead effectively if your message fades faster than you deliver it. You cannot drive action if your words don't stick. You cannot inspire trust if your voice blends into the noise. Most people speak in a way that's easy to ignore. Their sentences are too long. Their point is buried. Their tone wavers. Their message arrives soft and leaves even softer. Nothing about it signals importance. Forgettable speech creates forgettable leadership. But the leaders who leave impact, the ones Americans quote, follow and trust, do something different. They use language that lodges itself in memory. They make their point simple, sharp, and repeatable. They speak in rhythms that the mind naturally holds on to. They use phrases that feel like truths, not rambling commentary. Memorable speech feels inevitable, like the message already lived in the listener's mind, and the speaker simply unlocked it. To speak memorably, you must stop trying to say everything. People don't remember everything. They remember essence. They remember shape. They remember patterns. And the simplest pattern is this: a single idea delivered with force. Picture two leaders addressing their team. The first gives a long, detailed explanation. 5 points, 3 clarifications, a full paragraph of context. People agree, but they won't repeat any of it later. The second leader keeps all the details small and the core message large. We finish strong. That's who we are. 1 line, 10 words. The room remembers it hours later, days later, maybe even years later. Impact lives in the line people can repeat. Your job as a leader is to craft lines worth repeating. To do this, you must use linguistic hooks. Simple, sharp structures that stay in the mind. One of the most powerful, the 7-10-word mantra. Short enough to remember, long enough to carry meaning, strong enough to hold future action. Examples: clarity first, everything else follows. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Say less, mean more. Lead the moment, don't follow it. These aren't just sentences. They're mental anchors. Anchors make your message unforgettable. Another tool: repetition. Not repeating everything, repeating the one line that matters most. Americans respond strongly to purposeful repetition. It signals importance. It gives the brain a second chance to absorb meaning. Deliver your key line once, pause, then deliver it again. Not louder, slower, deeper. Repetition creates memory. Memory creates influence. Now think about the emotional layer of memorable speech. People remember the way your words feel more than the words themselves. A calm, grounded voice makes the message trustworthy. A steady tone makes the message believable. A focused delivery makes the message stick. Emotional clarity creates cognitive clarity. If your voice shakes, your message shakes. If your tone rambles, your message evaporates. If your pace races, your meaning disappears. Your delivery is the container for your impact. Shape it well, and people remember. Shape it poorly, and people forget. Now let's turn this into practice. Before you speak, identify your one core sentence, just one. Ask yourself, if they only remember one thing I say, what must it be? Stop talking until you can answer that question. Once you have the line, build everything around it. Deliver it early, deliver it clean, deliver it again near the end. This is leadership communication. Not noise, not rambling, not literary performance, just strategic clarity. Use imagery, simple, grounded images. For example, build brick by brick. Cut the noise. Stand solid. Protect your energy. Americans respond instinctively to metaphor because it translates complexity into action. People remember pictures. Give them one. Then simplify your structure. Short sentences, clear rhythm, purposeful pauses. No tangents, no clutter. Memorable speech is clean speech. Now look honestly at your own communication. Do people quote you? Do people repeat your phrases? Do people reference your words in later conversations, or do your words disappear the moment they're spoken? These are not small questions. They reveal whether your communication carries weight or evaporates. Ask yourself, what sentence from me deserves to be remembered? What phrase captures who I am as a leader? What line defines the standard I want to set? These questions sharpen your identity. A memorable line isn't just for others. It's for you. When you craft a sentence that carries your truth, you become the kind of leader who lives by it. This is why speaking to be remembered is not performance. It is alignment. It is ownership. It is identity shaping presence through language. When your speech becomes memorable, everything changes. People listen more closely. They quote you in your absence. They align more consistently. They trust you more deeply. Because memorable speech signals that you know what matters. It signals that your direction is clear. It signals that your leadership has intention. People don't follow every word you say. They follow the ones they remember. Make your words worth remembering. Craft the line that defines the moment. Shape the message into an anchor. Speak short, calm, clear, and deep. And carry this truth as the mantra of this chapter. Don't aim to be heard, aim to be remembered. Chapter 10. Train daily. Most people wait for confidence to appear. Leaders build it, one day at a time. Daily training isn't about perfection, it's about identity. This is the truth most people avoid. Your communication won't change because you learned something once. It changes because you practice it consistently, especially when you don't feel like it. Americans deeply respect discipline, repetition, ownership, commitment. A voice becomes strong the same way a muscle does, through daily, deliberate work. Consistency is what separates improvement from transformation. Most people treat communication like a talent. Leaders treat it like a skill that must be sharpened, a skill that must be maintained, a skill that decays if left unattended. The pain shows up quietly. You have a good week, you sound strong, then you stop practicing, your old habits return. Hesitation slips back in. Speed replaces calm. Fillers sneak into your sentences. Your presence feels fragile again. That is the cost of inconsistency. Your voice returns to the level of your training, not your intention. Picture two people. The first practices only when stakes are high. Before a presentation, before a meeting, before an interview. They try to switch on confidence. They try to force clarity. But skills don't activate like a light switch. They activate like a muscle. Slowly, steadily, through repetition. So when pressure hits, they collapse into old patterns. The second practices daily. 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there. A habit, not an event. When pressure hits, they don't collapse. They revert to their training. Their voice stays grounded. Their presence stays intact. Their message stays clear. Daily training makes strength your default, not your performance. This chapter is about building that default. Start with the simplest, most powerful habit, a 3-minute daily voice journal. Turn on your phone. Speak for 3 minutes. Talk about your day, your thoughts, your reflections. It doesn't matter. Then listen. Not to judge, but to observe. Where is your voice strong? Where does it slip? Where do fillers appear? Where does speed rise? Where does your confidence drop? Awareness is the first stage of mastery. Next, choose one communication skill per day to sharpen. Not 5, not 3, just 1. One day, practice slowing your pace. One day, practice removing weak fillers. One day, practice clear openings. One day, practice grounded pauses. One day, practice short, deep sentences. Small skills practiced daily create massive change. Another powerful tool is the first sentence drill. Every morning, speak one strong sentence out loud. Here's what matters today. This is the direction. I own my voice. This is my standard. This anchors your tone for the whole day. Americans respond to people who start strong. It signals readiness, clarity, and leadership. Then add a micro-challenge. Every conversation today, deliver one clean, deliberate sentence. One sentence with no fillers, no rushing, no apologizing, no weak talk. Just one sentence you fully own. Mastery grows from one clean moment at a time. Now consider the role environment plays in your training. Your surroundings influence your speech more than you realize. If you're around people who interrupt, rush, or dominate, your voice adjusts. If you're around calm, clear communicators, your voice rises. This means you must protect your training environment. Choose people who sharpen you. Avoid people who drain your discipline. Limit conversations that pull you into old habits. Your voice grows where your environment supports it. Next comes repetition, the heart of all mastery. Repetition is what builds instinct. Repetition is what rewires habits. Repetition is what builds presence that doesn't break under stress. Think about athletes, musicians, or soldiers. Their strength is not built from intensity. It is built from discipline, from showing up daily, even when unmotivated, from practicing the fundamentals until they become automatic. Leadership communication is no different. Repetition turns skills into identity. Identity turns action into instinct. Now ask yourself the deeper questions. Do I train only when I feel inspired? Do I treat communication like a skill or a mood? What would happen if I trained daily, even lightly, for the next 30 days? These questions reveal the truth you've been avoiding. Your voice reflects your habits. Your presence reflects your discipline. Your authority reflects your practice. If you want a strong communication identity, you must earn it daily. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just consistently. A few minutes a day, one focus at a time, one sentence at a time, one moment of clarity at a time. Small discipline compounds into unshakable presence. Daily training is how you break old patterns. Daily training is how you build new instincts. Daily training is how you create a voice that does not tremble under pressure. When you train daily, something powerful happens. Your voice becomes natural. Your clarity becomes effortless. Your tone becomes grounded by default. Leadership stops being something you try to perform and becomes something you quietly embody. People will feel it before you say a word. They'll sense the steadiness. They'll sense the certainty. They'll sense the discipline behind your presence. Daily discipline is invisible until the moment it's needed. Then everyone sees it. Carry this truth with you. Train daily until strength feels natural, until clarity is instinct, until leadership is simply who you are. Because communication mastery isn't built in big moments. It's built in the quiet ones, the daily ones, the ones nobody sees. And those are the moments that shape the leader the world will see. You've reached the end of this journey, but not the end of your growth. These 90 minutes weren't just lessons. They were a blueprint, a reset, a new standard for how you communicate, how you show up, and how you lead. Everything you've practiced in these chapters points toward one truth. Leadership is not what you say. Leadership is how your words shape the world around you. Think back on what you've sharpened. Your clarity, your authority, your precision, your timing. These 4 pillars are not techniques. They are disciplines. They're the internal architecture of a voice that earns trust without forcing it, commands attention without demanding it, and creates movement without raising its volume. The people who follow you, in conversations, in meetings, in decisions, don't follow because you talk louder. They follow because your presence speaks first. Clarity is how you cut through noise. Authority is how you ground the room. Precision is how you make every word count. Timing is how you let silence do the work for you. Together, they form the core of communication that lasts. The kind people remember, rely on, and rise with. But learning these principles is only the beginning. Now you must turn them into practice. Deliberate, consistent, unbreakable practice. To lock everything in, begin with the 72-hour challenge. This is where knowledge becomes habit, where intention becomes identity. In the next 24 hours, record yourself for 2 minutes, not to judge, but to observe. Listen for fillers, hesitation, speed, drift. Listen to where your voice wavers and where it stands firm. This moment of awareness is your first anchor. Because once you hear your old patterns clearly, you can no longer pretend they're invisible. In the following 24 hours, write 3 punchlines, 3 sentences that carry weight, clarity, and confidence. Not slogans, not performance, just truths you're willing to stand behind in real conversations. Sentences like, "I stand by this direction. Here's the real point. Let's move forward now." These lines become your verbal spine, the structure that holds you upright when pressure tests you. And in the final 24 hours, choose one difficult conversation and step into it with calm. Center yourself. Answer cleanly. Limit the noise. Move on with clarity. You don't need to overpower the moment. You only need to stay grounded in it. In 72 hours, your communication resets. Not magically, deliberately. But the deeper transformation happens over the next 30 days. This is where your voice becomes a new identity. For the first 7 days, focus only on clarity. Short sentences, simple structure, one idea at a time, The world responds differently to someone who communicates cleanly. You'll feel the shift immediately. During days 8 to 14, shift to strong vocabulary. Remove every weak filler. Replace softness with intentionality. Speak with ownership, not apology. Let your words reflect the confidence you're building internally. From days 15 to 21, train your voice. Slow your pace, control your breath. Use silence as punctuation. You're not trying to sound powerful. You are trying to become someone who doesn't need volume to be respected. And in the final stretch, days 22 to 30, practice leading under pressure. Seek moments that test your grounding. Don't avoid them. Don't brace against them. Meet them with stillness. This is where your voice matures. This is where your presence gains weight. 30 days of discipline will give you what 30 years of trying to sound confident never could. Because confidence isn't a mood. Confidence is a standard. Confidence is clarity repeated. Confidence is presence practiced. Confidence is the voice you build when no one is watching. When you commit to this, your life changes quietly but profoundly. People stop interrupting you. Rooms become easier to command. Conversations become cleaner. Decisions become simpler. Your relationships shift. Your opportunities expand. And your voice, the one you doubted, softened, apologized for, becomes the most trusted tool you have. All because you chose to train it. Carry this with you. Every conversation is a moment of leadership, even the small ones, especially the small ones. Because small moments shape identity, and identity shapes everything that follows. So here is your final call, the line that closes this journey and opens the next. Choose one sentence today and speak it with full weight. Let it define how you show up. Let it define your standard. Let it define your next step. Don't raise your voice. Raise your presence. Raise your clarity. Raise your discipline, and the world will rise with you. One sentence, one moment, one act of ownership. That's where leadership begins.